Welcome.
You are watching Line Screw 1.
Well, hello tubers, hope you're doing well wherever you are in this crazy YouTube universe. Today we have to talk about Carolyn's RV life because she is off her meds or off the rails or off something because she is off. She suddenly believes, well actually we can't say suddenly, I think she's believed this for a long time. Carolyn has suggested that all men should start out in prison and work their way out, and of course she asserts that many would never get released. It's her response to somebody who posted the idea that men should just be in prison, and then, you know, naturally that's the default position. Men should just be locked up, incarcerated for being what men. Yeah. You can't make this stuff up. Now, this is coming from Carolyn, who gave up Twitter because of Elon Musk, but she didn't give up her Starlink. No, because she needs a Starlink to upload this garbage to the world. Can't make this stuff up. She is so confused. But part of her problem is she's angry with men because men are just killing it compared to her, and men are not giving her attention. It was just a few years ago that I reported how she noticed that since now she's older and not looking after herself, that men are not giving her any attention anymore. What came first, Carolyn, the chicken or the egg? Maybe if you actually took some pride in your appearance, men might actually be interested in you. Because newsflash, Carolyn, women who do not shave or bathe on a regular basis are not high up in the hierarchy of desirability. You know, and apparently that's a horrible bias by us men. She has ranted that, you know, men having standards of cleanliness is kind of patriarchal elitism. That's what she says. I kid you not. It's somehow elitist to expect somebody that you may be romantically interested in to bathe and shave and have just basic hygiene habits. Yeah. But oh no. So now she's to the point where men should just start out in jail and have to work their way out. Now, on its face, it's a sexist remark. Now, if I was to do the exact reverse, which I would not do because I don't agree, there's good and bad in all groups, including men and including women, right? We've all met women that are not so nice, and men that are not so nice, and the reverse, men that are just wonderful people, and women that are, of course, wonderful people, because we're mature adults and we understand how the world works. Carolyn doesn't, and she's got a chip on her shoulder. So if I was to take that exact position that Carolyn took, but reverse it and say that about women, if I said women should start out incarcerated and should have to work their way out, or if I was to even agree with such an assertion on social media, at the very least, that post would be removed because it would violate some community standards against an identifiable group, right? That's typically the community standards rules, that you can't target an individualized group. But she thinks that men, it's free range. It's like hunting season for men. Of course, she often chooses white men. She's got a special bone to pick about white men. Like we chose our race. She almost thinks that, like, us white men, Caucasian men, that we chose our European ancestry, and that colonialism, that things that our great grandparents did. Of course, I'm first generation European, so, you know, you can't even blame any of the colonialism on me because my family didn't even arrive in North America until the 50s. Okay, that was when the first person set foot in the 1950s. Okay, so all this other stuff had nothing to do with me. Okay, Carolyn, so don't blame colonialism on me. But if I was to take that same position and say women should all be locked up and have to earn the right to be free, it would violate the community standards. I'd probably be banned from that platform, whether it's Threads or X or, you know, any of the social media platforms. So you can't make this up. Like, she's just so angry at men all the time because men aren't paying her bills, because she's seeing successful women out there. Okay, there's so many successful women out there that successfully married correctly, and their husband is paying their bills, and they're raising their children. They got a beautiful house, they got a nanny, they got a vacation property in Maui. They're doing great. Now, Carolyn could not execute and do that. She's so angry, so jealous. It's pathetic, it's sad. And what it really amounts to is low-grade depression. That's what Carolyn is suffering for. If she actually took pride in her appearance and her presentation, she would get a lot more attention. She would have a stronger self-esteem. And perhaps some of this low-grade chronic depression and this anger towards the entire world. I mean, she hates men. Now, she probably gives gay black or transgender black men a pass or something. She always has little asterisks and little exceptions to the rule based on her wokeism, which, what the hell is that? What the hell is this? I mean, what about common sense? Common sense. I mean, common sense says that, you know, there's good and bad in all groups. Pick a group. Left-handed people. Are there bad left-handed people? Yes. Are there good left-handed people? Yes, yes. Is the same true about men? Yes, absolutely. How about South Koreans? Oh, yes. Wonderful people, South Koreans. A few bad apples. Yeah, it's a fair comment. You can use this as a general rule of thumb for anything, you know? But, oh no. Always an axe to grind against men, always. And, you know, on its face, saying that any group should just start out incarcerated and have to earn their freedom, well, that's dystopian and the ultimate of totalitarianism. Of course, Carolyn has kind of got that socialism bug, right? That lefty problem. And they like control. They like control. They want to control what you think. They want to control the narrative. And they're losing control because more and more people aren't being fooled. You know, simple things like, what is a woman? We know the answer now. In fact, we actually always knew the answer. But some of us, you know, conservatives were kind of polite, and we would just keep the answer to ourselves because we knew it. We were a little smug that we knew common sense, what a woman is. Same with, we know through common sense that locking any group up just because they're part of this group, it doesn't make sense, including men. Besides, locking up all men, well, who would build the roads? Who would build the bridges? Who would build the high-rises? Who would do all the heavy lifting? Who would open a can of pickles? It's generally men. Now, is there women that can do some of those things? Absolutely, of course there are. But it's generally men. Same with who would go to war? Not too many women go to war. A few do, of course. But it's mostly men. It's mostly men. Yeah. Now, Carolyn would say, well, there would be no wars if it was just women. Oh, no. Oh, there'd be more wars. Be more wars. Anybody who's worked in an office around women. I've worked in offices where the men are the minority. The women, they all hate each other. They're gossipy. They're always backstabbing each other. Women often can't get along, especially with women who are better looking. There's a lot of that weird stuff going on. Some women, when they start aging, and then the new young hottie gets hired, and there's a lot of jealousy. And I think that's what Carolyn is experiencing, jealousy, because there's so many more younger, hotter, more vibrant, more interesting women out there on social media that she's competing against, and she's losing. I mean, look at her subscriber count compared to what a typical watch views are. It's a huge disconnect, and she's barely surviving financially. And of course, now with the she's got student loans, probably still that she's paying for. It was just a few years ago. She admitted that she still has student loans, and they're now reporting that on credit files. So if she hasn't been paying that student loans, she's probably got stinko credit now. She needs a man more than ever now to co-sign some loans. Because that old rat trap of a disheveled RV, it's not going to last much longer. All the bubble gum and twine and tape can only keep an RV together for so long. And I really don't think people are going to line up in a bidding frenzy to buy it off her and go, own Carolyn's RV life's RV. It's worth more because she owned it, because it's got that provenance. No. In fact, I would argue her RV is worth substantially less because she owned it and didn't look after it and was constantly beating the crap out of it in off-road roads, desert roads, logging roads, beating the crap out of her RV, driving it in locations that it should not be used. So, anywho, we covered a lot of bases here, didn't we? But essentially, who in their right mind would say men should start out in jail and work their way out to freedom? It's a grotesque and dystopian idea. Now, of course, she could say, oh, it's like a little bit of light humor. Yeah, what? No, it's consistent with her ideology and how she's been preaching for years about her hatred of men. And I'm about one of the few people on social media that calls her on her BS, because you have to hold these people accountable, and the only way to expose them is to just repeat what they say. Don't manufacture any of these stories. I just repeat exactly what she says and tell you about it and show what's going on in her crazy mind, because it has to be exposed for what it is. It's distasteful and absurd and wrong, morally and otherwise. So put your comments down below. Hope you guys are doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Over and out.
I got you.